Slightly later than I expected, only by minutes. Not even minutes, I think a couple of seconds. My clock says it's not quite quarter past. My phone said it was. So what have we got here? Well, we're back to painting the Temple Guard from Shadows of Brimstone. Now, last time we did this, I was showing you all the little techniques that I do, which are basically just slather on contrast paint. I'm not sure how the lighting is in this room. Zero prep has been done for this because, you know, this isn't my full-time gig, guys. This is just a little side hustle that I enjoy doing. You'll notice I have three colours out today. I've got the Contrast Orc Flesh. This is the green I chose to paint the Temple Guard in because I thought it was kind of quite serpentesque. We have a bit of Spirit White. As you can tell, this is a old bottle, and it's also a Shadows of Brimstone official paint. One of the first sets of paints I got was this, and I still use quite a few of the paints from there. Interestingly, this kind of little set was actually really good, whereas the Zombicide paints I got were really crap, even though they're made by the same company. Right, and you'll also notice I have the Avaland Sunset Citadel color base. Careful, Adam. Now, I've chosen that one, and what we're going to do today is we're basically going to finish this little guy off with the green. We're also going to start putting some of this yellow on here. Now, when you're playing Shadows of Brimstone, there's actually various different Serpent Men tribes who are all against each other. And you can just basically paint these in any kind of color scheme you like, or you could select one of the tribes and specifically go down that route. And as I did that with Tredaran, one of the sets, the Tredaran team, I basically thought I'd do the same with the Serpent Men. I'd do the same basic kind of clan. And then at some point I might do a video where I basically fight these clans, you know, send these clans against each other. I'm going to do a bit of readjustment now with the camera. So just bear with. And painting is always tricky on camera. That's just, I've not quite got this down at the moment. So I have my Citadel color paint pot, not to get confused with the water I'm drinking from. I have an army painter brush. This is one of my favorites. I quite like these. They're like kind of little triangular things. And you can't quite, can you quite see how fine that is? If I put this there, there we go. Right, perfect. So it's had a lot of use, this one. So I'm going to use that one. And also if I need some fine details, I have this smaller one here. What else to say? Well, you know, as we go through this waffle, I'll kind of talk about some other stuff whilst we're going. First thing I want to talk about is a game called League of Dungeoneers. This is a game we've been sent a review copy of. Nick Graney, who's a fan of the channel, he basically hooked me up with a copy of it by saying, you should reach out to them. And I reached out to them, and I've got myself a big old copy on the way, and it looks fantastic. So what we're doing here, we're just basically putting on the green. Now, you might notice as well, there's a slight difference to last time when I painted this, and that difference is he did have a shoulder pad there, which is basically like a skull of some creature, and it's somewhere on the table. Oh, do you know what? It's actually under the tripod. There we go. Right. So this is like a little kind of skull shoulder pad thing he has. Now, I'd love to say that I actually thought, you know what, I'm going to take this off so I can paint underneath it, but the glue didn't stick, it just came off. So I am actually going to paint underneath this thing, which is why I missed out the green last time on here, because I couldn't see it. So we're going to paint this bit of green here. And just off camera, I touched this up a little bit with some white. So I used the Spirit White to kind of go over certain areas, because I'd foolishly gone over some areas which are the lighter yellow colour that I'm going for. Oh, I think that'll do, Adam. That'll do, babe. That'll do. I also gave him some eyes. Bit of white in there. And there's a few areas I had a few little happy accidents. So I kind of used a bit of white to cover up the bits I'd gone over. But yeah, League of Dungeoneers is a game that's coming out. It's on its way to backers. It's over in Canada at the moment, I think. Hopefully we're going to be getting it in the next couple of weeks, maybe. It looks so cool. If you imagine, it's a dungeon crawler game where you are creating your own characters and kind of going down a route of, like, you know, just general exploring. Do I not wear gloves when I'm doing this? I do not wear gloves when I'm doing this. I'm not a gentleman. Yeah, no gloves. I just use my unguarded hands. So this is different to the paint I've used previously. So this is a contrast paint. The nice thing about this is you basically put it on and it goes in all the little kind of details. It really highlights it all. This is not. This is just a base color. So I'm going to have to put a wash over this miniature. And have I chosen? No, I've chosen the right brush here. So I'm hoping that this isn't going to look terrible, that this yellow isn't too much of a contrast. But do you know what? It's fine. It'll do for these guys. My Temple Guard are the very first Shadows of Brimstone Valley of the Serpent Men minis I'm painting. I've got a ton of these guys to go. I also have quite a few miniatures from other games to do, like loads. So I try and put it somewhere you can actually see this. Still getting used to painting on camera, guys. It's, yeah, it's not especially easy. I was very fortunate to actually get a game of Shadows of Brimstone to the table. I have a kind of bi-weekly board game group up here where I live, and we take it in turns to choose which game to play. And we got to a point where actually no one's really taking kind of like ownership over whose turn it is, and everyone's very much like, well, you know, I don't mind what we play. And then it's a very kind of last minute decision about what you're actually going to be playing, which is fine. I especially like going there because I don't often have to teach games, which is great because I'm not especially good at teaching games, I don't think. I mean, if you see any of my actual gameplay videos, you'll see how much I get wrong. I often kind of forget rules until the very last kind of packing away the game. And I'm like, oh yeah, there's this huge rule we missed. But anyway, we had a game night set up recently, and I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to choose a game. I'm just gonna be selfish and say, do you know what? We're playing a game, guys. And that game we played was Shadows of Brimstone Forbidden Fortress. So this is basically using the same system as what I've got in my hand here, but this time around you are in feudal Japan, and you are going up against corrupted fallen shogun, dragon, and loads of other like kind of gribbly things. So yeah, so it was never a one of the core sets I was interested in, because Shadows of Brimstone is a, like, primarily it started off as a Western, like a Weird West survival game. And then it kind of like, they went on to Forbidden Fortress, which was feudal Japan. And as much as I actually enjoy feudal Japan, it's not really something I was, the monsters didn't look that cool, if I'm honest. I think that's what it was. The monsters are like very out of Japanese lore, and I don't really know much about Japanese lore, so I was just like, not really that fussed about these characters or these kind of scenarios. But I picked it up, and I picked it up because actually I was filming lots of Shadows of Brimstone stuff on the channel, and it was doing pretty well, so I was like, do you know what? I'm going to get even more. No glove, no love. Good to know. So yeah, I picked up the Shadows of Brimstone Forbidden Fortress pack online, and after playing it, I was like, this is such a cool game. All the base heroes seemed like more of a team. It's kind of like if you ever watched the X-Men cartoons, the original X-Men cartoons, those guys are on the same team, but you wouldn't really know it. Like, you know, you would kind of know it. They're in the same spandex and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, whenever they fight, you know, they're all kind of like fumbling over each other and stuff like that. Whereas X-Men 97, you know, that team was fantastic. They knew what they were doing. There was team synergy. I'm going to use that word, synergy. And I kind of feel that's what happened with Shadows of Brimstone Forbidden Fortress. The original Shadows of Brimstone, you've got 4 different kind of archetypes you start with, and individually they're fine. You do them as a team, and there's pretty much everyone kind of like squabbling over who gets the experience points, and well, always happy to do a 97 reference. And you know, they're really trying to like work as a team, but you know, it's hard to do that with all the different kind of archetypes you've got in that base set. Whereas in Forbidden Fortress, it felt like you actually have a team. These guys have really good synergy with each other. And it was the first time that the frogs, in my opinion, the frogs being the guys who make these games, really went into the idea of, you know, a bit of cohesion with the team. They obviously went on to make the one I'm painting at the moment, which is the Valley of the Serpent Kings, where there is more team cohesion because you have conquistadors. Hello from Spain, Juan. I hope it's lovely weather on there, and I hope that the rain is mainly on the plain. But yeah, with Valley of the Serpent Kings, you have 4 conquistador heroes, and I absolutely love the conquistador theme. I think that's fantastic. I've never played a game where you're playing as conquistadors, kind of lurking through an old remnants of a Spanish fort, whilst creatures from another world are trying to invade. What a great concept. So the cohesion there works really well because all the team in that have their own, they have their own strengths and weakness. You've got your tank, you've got your, kind of glass cannon, like the damage dealer. But, you've also got, they're all on the same team. They're all conquistadors, so they have these team abilities that they bring in. I've yet to play with any of them. I played the Viking guys, and they are really cool. And having a Valkyrie, I was going to say Asgardian, having a Valkyrie on the team is also pretty cool. So as you can see, I've been doing this for about 11 minutes, and so far I've got a decent kind of like coverage. I don't know what the lighting is like on here, how easy that is to see that. It's because I have a really big conservatory here. That's not a euphemism. And that's basically letting all the light in, so I don't know how this looks. What I see missing in the Conquistadors box is a monk or priest. It would be very thematic. I wonder whether there's any future plans for additional classes in there. But yeah, if I'm honest, I don't actually know too much about conquistadors, apart from the fact they were Spanish explorers. Thanks, Em. Good to know. And depending on who you ask, they caused a lot of atrocities. So there's a lot of historical problems with I guess with conquistadors, and I mean any British things, any English. Historically, we have a lot of issues to deal with and to answer for, really. Now, I nearly made a kind of rookie schoolboy error there, where I nearly dipped the top of this in my paint pot. So just make sure you keep it at safe distance, guys. Already he's coming to shape. I'm quite enjoying this guy. And I wanted him to be the same kind of theme as these guys, but you'll notice the colors are very different. Very light green I had for these guys. This is before I had contrast paint. Part of me is thinking, oh, do I just pick up some more of these guys and just start again? But no, I'm not going to do that. It'd be very wasteful. And besides, they're different species. Like this guy's like a much tougher kind of temple guard than the regular Gargano serpent warriors. Gargano, by the way, is the setting for... There's kind of 2 settings for the Valley of the Serpent Kings. There's the kind of earth side, which is a Spanish fort. These old Spanish forts that these conquistadors are kind of exploring. And then the other side of that, you go through a portal. And you go into Gargano, the swamp, or the Valley of the Serpent Kings, that particular region of there. And yeah, an Inquisitor would be pretty thematic. See, I do actually have painting handles. And it's a good memory jog there. Now I look through my absolute swathe of things in here, but can I find one? No. Oh wait, do you know what? I do know where they are, and he'll be right back. What a good idea! Some form of painting handle. Now I'm not sure he'll fit in the base for this. He will. He will, Adam. There we go. Thanks for the tip. All new to me. Okay, so let's get a little bit more yellow onto this fellow. Yeah, the one of the best villains in... Well, that's the problem now. I can't quite get to where I need to get to. But I couldn't have done that anyway. No, I'm a pro. Thanks, Laura. We'll see. I'll never be a pro. A procrastinator, maybe. So yeah, Jargona is the kind of like region you're going to be exploring if you delve into the Valley of the Serpent Kings. Thanks very much, Ryan. I think he's looking pretty good. And you know what? Like, you don't have to be an expert painter to get these minis to look good, to be fair. I think they're very forgiving. They're very lovely sculpts. And you only need a couple of colors on these things anyway, really. You could paint this entire thing in green if you wanted to and just save yourself a lot of hassle. Some people just put like a wash over them just to get the details out. And I am going to make lots of happy little accidents with this yellow here, overlapping with some of the green contrast paint. And I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to get around that. Because it's quite a bright color, and I'm not sure how I'm going to get rid of that using the green. So now I have to go upside down and try and get underneath his tail. Now, playing this at the table, chances are people aren't going to really be seeing this, but I'll know it's there. And I'll be filming the Shadows of Brimstone Valley of the Serpent Kings, of course, along with all the other beautiful Shadows of Brimstone products I own. And it's worth noting, I don't get review copies of these. These are all things I get my hard-earned cash. Currently saving up to get the latest Kickstarter of theirs, which is the Tomb of the something. I want to say Pharaohs. I can never remember the name of it. But if you imagine the film, The Mummy, but in Shadows of Brimstone Dungeon Crawler form, that is essentially what you're getting there. There's also a Kickstarter exclusive Indiana Jones kind of, well, it's basically a treasure hunter, but it's Indiana Jones. We know who it is. Same way, you know, you get a Valkyrie for the Vikings. You get a treasure hunter for Cairo. So yeah, that I'm very much looking forward to that. Now, when I do my playthrough of these guys, I am going to be throwing in some extra enemy packs. So the core game of this comes along with a bunch of cool minis that are all themed either for the Spanish fort or, well, actually these are all themed. These are all Jargano enemies basically, and they've spilt through into the real world. But I'm going to be throwing some extra enemy packs in. So I'm going to be throwing in the my favorites bad guys from Shadows of Brimstone and Flying Frogs, which are, can anyone guess? Anyone who knows anything about Shadows of Brimstone, can you give me a guess at who you think my favorite enemies are, and if I will be, and who I'll be including in my playthrough? Obviously, if you don't know Shadows of Brimstone, it's going to be a very hard question. You could come up with an idea of what type of enemy I'd be kind of including. Now, this is tricky. Painting his chest is just getting the right angle with this. And you always got to make sure you don't have too much paint on your brush as well. So I've got some on my hand there now. So you need to do about halfway down your brush, really, or at least I say you need to. You don't need to do anything. You know, you're your own person. I'm not your dad. But yeah, I tend to just kind of do about halfway down. Any guesses for who I'll be including in the Shadows of Brimstone playthrough for these guys? An enemy type. Should have worn gloves. It is not going to be Gremlins. Jesus Christ. Those things are the most annoying bastards on the face of the planet. These things just keep coming and they're so hard to defeat. They're just a pain in the ass. When we did our Shadows of Brimstone Viking playthrough, we came across them. And yeah, we basically got absolutely mullered by them. Chances are I probably played the rules wrong for them, but they were still fun. And yes, correct. I will be playing with the Crimson Hand, my favorite villains from the Flying Frogs production line, because they are not only in Shadows of Brimstone, but they are in A Touch of Evil, the first first Flying Frog game I owned, which is basically, if you imagine Sleepy Hollow meets Nosferatu meets like the Wolfman. It's basically a folklore cooperative kind of horror game. It's fantastic. And Crimson Hand are in there as this cult Yeah, so the Crimson Hand are a cult, and they're basically trying to bring forth, well, whatever. I've got a few different enemy types from them. I have the original ones that came out with the Shadows of Brimstone Cowboy line, and I also have the ones that came in the Kickstarter for Valley of the Serpent Kings and Gates of Valhalla. But there is some other ones you can get. There is there are Dread Inquisitors who basically do some kind of plague. I believe they spread disease or something. But these are all basically like robed figures who I think would really fit well in the kind of like theme for Valley of Serpent Kings, and I've been waiting to get them on the channel for a while because I absolutely love them, like I say. Okay, I think I'm about done with this yellow, guys. I've covered up pretty much most of him with it. And what I'll be doing off camera is just touching this up a little bit, but I think I'm pretty much done. Oh, do you know what? I need the inside of his hand. The inside of his arm. Painted chat is impressive multitasking. Well, you know, I've got one eye here. I'm like a chameleon. One eye here, one eye somewhere else. Dread Inquisitors, they were not included in the Kickstarter as kind of like something that came with it if you got the base pledge level. I got the cheapest pledge level that got me both sets. If you went all in, you could get the Dread Inquisitors who basically, yeah, you can get them on eBay for about, I think they're going for around £35. You could probably swing a deal to get them a bit cheaper. But yeah, those guys spread plague and disease and stuff like that. I also have the Crimson Hand Inquisitor, who is a special guy you can get from America. I don't know what to do with his arm there, guys, because technically that is the inside of his... Oh. So that's the inside of his kind of arm. And on the inside of their arm, it's kind of like a yellowy colour, and the outside I'm doing green. So if he's holding it like this, pardon the expression there, then there should be some yellow around, kind of like there. So I am going to have to add a bit more yellow because I'll just be pernickety about this. But I'm going to go for my smaller little brush here because it's a bit more delicate. I don't want to... So I think I'm going to have to do a little bit more around here, painting directly onto the yellow. The nice thing is, because there's scales here, it's easy to kind of figure out where I need to stop. But yeah, the Crimson Hand were always going to be my main bad guys in Shadows of Brimstone, and with the new Kickstarter, which I'm saving up for, there is a whole Crimson Hand adventure mode where you actually play as the Crimson Hand. So I think that could be quite a fun little thing to show on the channel, and also just for me to play, if I'm honest. Anyway, I digress. I was talking a while ago on this little chat about me actually playing Forbidden Fortress. So I sat down with some friends that had never played Shadows of Brimstone before, had zero kind of impact from it. So we sat down, played it, and they absolutely love Forbidden Fortress. So it's made me kind of want to play some more of it with them. That's it for the yellow. I mean, I'm done there. That's pretty much it. Now, the card itself, that doesn't look yellow. That's kind of green. It's green on green, but, you know, screw you. I'm just going to do it however I want. Mouth. What am I going to do about the mouth? He's got a big gaping maw. Pardon the expression. I have a Blood Angels Red here. This is a contrast paint. So we're going to chuck this in. Hopefully not absolutely drown him in it. And then I'm going to do like a bit of a kind of purplish tongue for this guy. What colour are snakes' tongues, guys? I kind of feel like they're black. But yeah, I think like a kind of pinkish tongue there. But the rest of his mouth should be red. So we're going to get some of this Blood Angels Red. And straight away, I'm going to be going for the top. Purple. Is that the colour for snakes' tongues? Well, that's 2. So that's fine, because I actually have a The colour I looked at was this one. So we'll go for Gene Steeler Purple, and apologise, I was talking with my mouth full of a paintbrush. I often, when I'm painting, I actually have a paintbrush in one mouth. Obviously, I don't have the brush part in my mouth. I'm holding on by it here, whilst I paint with the other, a smaller brush. Now, there is a kind of line going around here. I don't want to keep that white, but I also don't really want to give him like a clown grin by putting red on there. So I think I probably will have to go back over this with the yellow going right up to the teeth. But yeah, that's the inside of his mouth done. Really quick. Bit of contrast Blood Angels red. And I probably didn't need contrast for that because there's not really any detail to bring out in there. But Laura and Em both said purple, so we're going to go purple. Maybe this is what I do now. I'll do paint by numbers and just ask people to call out which colours they think I should paint with. And we'll go from there. Okay, so that's dry. Let's see if we got some there. Do we have any in here? Wow, we've got a dry paint pot, guys. Someone did not close their paint properly. So that is going to have to hold off. I do, however, have an official Shadows of Brimstone Darkstone Purple for her pleasure. So with these ones, you have to shake them for a while. It's a rhythm I'm used to. So should be able to get this lickety-split. And thank you for joining me today to watch paint dry as I paint through the Shadows of Brimstone Valley of the Serpent Kings core set. My lovely, well-used palette there could do with a palette cleanser. Open up, open wide. I don't want it. Take it, take it. Okay, and I would say that I don't often talk this much when I'm painting, or, you know, do the voices for the people I'm painting, but that'd be a lie. I'm often doing the voices for the people I paint. By people, I mean miniatures, not, you know, people in public who I, you know, go up against and paint and run away. Not that there's anything wrong with painting people. Okay, there's his purpley tongue. Does he look happy? I think he looks like a happy chappy. Right, well, we're actually flying through this, and that's what I enjoy about miniature painting. You know, if you don't care, you can get through this pretty quick, like me. So, we've got a stone hammer. We're going to go for the stone net. We're going to use Gravelord Grey. Should we use Gravelord Grey? We've got Gravelord Grey, but I think we also have another kind of stony kind of colour which we could use. Or do we? Yeah, we're going to have more greys than that, Adam. We have Basilicanium Grey, but this stuff is like really kind of, it's more of a black. So we are going to use the Gravelord Grey for his little rock head, his little hammer. It's a nice little design on that hammer. Part of me feels like maybe I should paint it up a little bit. And one little piece of advice I'd give you guys, if you ever do just delve into the miniature painting scene, is if you do make mistakes, just, you know, do a Bob Ross with it. Do kind of think of it as a happy accident. It kind of gives a bit of character to the creations you are painting. You don't want them all looking identical, like, you know, some kind of Warhammer army. And granted, you know, I've painted Warhammer armies, and I tried to make them as samey as possible. But yeah, I always like to do little kind of details on each one of the things I paint, especially if they are, you know, kind of army. Painting armies can be really daunting because you've got so many of the same kind of minis, the same sculpts, and it just can't be bothered. Here's a question for any Shadows of Brimstoners out there. Who is your favourite character class to play with? And if you don't play Shadows of Brimstone, then, you know, let me know and we'll sort a game out. Because it is my favourite game system. I was actually talking to my friends when I was setting up the Forbidden Fortress, I said, actually, if I could only own 2 game systems, it'd be Arkham Horror, the card game, and Shadows of Brimstone. But yeah, I had the question asked me earlier, which kind of Frontier hero is my favorite? And I had to go for Preacher, because he is badass. Just casting spells left, right, and center. Just absolutely, I love him kind of bringing Old Testament judgment. Okay, there we go, guys. That's my stone kind of hammerhead. And you know what? That's really like quick and fairly detailed. Just using that. It kind of does look a bit like stone, so that's good. And he's a happy chap. Right, what next? Well, he does actually have stone in his chest as well. So this is all stone work here as well. But I need to get a bit more of that. And it got lots of feathers. Some of the other enemies in this, the archers in this, they have feathers. And all the kind of serpent men have feathers of some kind. So you can just kind of mix them up really, color-wise, whatever you'd like. Now the Army Painter line, I don't have any of the 2.0 paints for their Speed Painter line, but I do have their 1.0 paints, and they're a bit hit and miss. Their leather is fantastic. I absolutely love it. I'm not trying to be kinky there, just kind of telling you a fact. The leather is so cool, but you can't. If you go wrong with it, you can't paint over it. It's some kind of weird chemical thing in there, which basically any color you put over the top of it will just be slightly off color. Okay, and then here I'm gonna have to concentrate now, guys, very carefully. Okay, so that's his stone little chest thing. I will be doing leather all around for the kind of ropes, but what I'm going to need to do, you'll notice a bit of yellow on there, so I'm going to need to paint over these bits with some white. But basically, I think these are just leather straps. That's leather there. We're going to do a red, like, kind of thing to hide his modesty there. So, you know what? We got time to do that. We'll do the red, and then we're going to end at the red. And next time, we'll be doing the bone for this armor, adding on the feathers and the leather. And his eyes are going to stay like that, guys. I never do pupils. And to be fair, the temple guard, their eyes are kind of glowing, so maybe I should put yellow over that. Or, what color, guys? Yellow, red? I mean, serpents are kind of yellow, aren't they? So, but he's not really a serpent. He's a creature. We also have to do this kind of wood here. And some leather maybe on those bits, some leather straps. But we're going to get a red, and we're not going to do the same red as previous. We're going to go for my favorite Flesh Tearers red here. This thing I've used on so much. In fact, do I even have any left? Yes, I do. So I've used this on so many of my different minis. You'll notice, if you're watching my videos, this red turns up a lot because it's one of the first contrast paints I got. And I kind of overdid it a bit with it, if I'm honest, guys. When I did Curse City, I used all of that for that. Curse City being a game by Games Workshop, which kind of existed and then didn't exist and then existed again. Yeah, we got some paint in there. Boom. Okay. So, I mean, any questions, guys? Have you got any questions for me whilst I'm sitting here and you're watching this paint dry? Any Shadows of Brimstone or other related questions? Or, you know, unrelated questions? The nice thing with these is you can get them done fairly quick. Like I say, if you don't really care, you can get these done pretty swift. I mean, this has taken me, if we have a think, the first one I did, if I hadn't been faffing around with talking to people and you know, showing all the different things I was going to be using and stuff like that, and my paint setup, then I would have got that done pretty quick. So I think you can probably get one of these guys done in about 40 minutes. There's 3 of them in the core box. And I won't be painting these again on the channel. I'll basically paint the other 2 off camera. Because who needs to see this again? No one. You can just follow these videos and go, oh, well, I know how not to paint that. Yeah, so a question for you, Laura. So you don't intend to get Forbidden Fortress. Can I ask why? Why is Forbidden Fortress not one you'd like to get? The Forest, I'm completely in agreement with you on there, because when I didn't pick up Forbidden Fortress in the first place, I was really disappointed because the Forest of the Dead looked really cool. Now, all of these things are compatible, so you could just pick up the Otherworld, because it will have Otherworld specific things, you know, that just like all the other Otherworlds. I don't think there is anything in there that you would need. Do you know what? Leave that with me. I will have a look, because I do own the Forest of the Dead. So I'll take a look at it to see what it looks like. And I will get back to you. Because that's a very good question. Because obviously the Forest of the Dead was specific to Forbidden Fortress. But all these sets are you know, compatible. It's just you'll have some components which, you know, you won't have any use for, because they're for the base game of Forbidden Fortress. But yeah, I'm very glad I played Forbidden Fortress. I think it's kind of like the poorer cousin of Shadows of Brimstone. The Fofo theme doesn't grab me. It's too big a box to have on the shelf, where I mostly like pick something else over it every time. That's fair enough. You know, there's only so many games you can play. And, you know, real estate is a real problem. And, you know, as I get older, I realize I don't need to play all these games. I want to, but I'm never going to play all the games. It's a sad thing, but it's true. Okay, so we are kind of getting done with this now. It's a dark red, this one. And I'm leaving... I was tempted to paint this in red as well, but I think this is going to be leather as well, so it's kind of all attached on. But yeah, one thing that comes with the new Kickstarter is so you get the Egyptian kind of core set, but you also get the Impossible Hell Train. So Impossible Hell Train was a stretch goal in the original Shadows of Brimstone years and years and years ago now, but it never got kind of realized. So they've released it now as part of the one of these sets you can get with the new Kickstarter. But I'm not that interested in it, to be fair. You're on a train, you're going through all these different other worlds, but it just seems like there's a load, like, it's very complicated rules mechanics-wise, and this game already has a lot of rules going on, and if you're ever watching my videos, you'll notice I get a lot of those rules wrong, because playing it solo is very difficult, as is painting this red and trying not to get it onto the yellow. I'm doing an okay job. I need to get some more of this paint. It's kind of like a bit... It's not the best consistency, if I'm honest, for what I am trying to do. But yeah, so I will be picking that up. Darren's pledged for the new Kickstarter, but he's with you. The Hell Train doesn't sound as interesting as the Lost Tombs. Yeah, agreed. And BJD Zombie, thank you so much. Yeah, he's coming across pretty well. And anyone who's been watching so far will attest, you don't need to be a fantastic miniature painter to do this, because I am pretty amateur and he's looking all right. They are very forgiving miniatures. And you know what? I said this would take you about 40 minutes to paint this. This is me painting this on camera. It would take me a lot less time off camera, because basically it'd be here, right in front of me, but I'm having to kind of lean over a camera and do this. This is my, I don't know, maybe my 4th video of painting something. And it's never something that really, I don't know, I find it, you need to know what you're doing with these kind of videos. I feel like some of my videos I do pretty well, but this is a new format for me. I guess that's what I'm saying. But yeah, the Impossible Hell train, it's, I don't know, the idea that you're on a train that's going through all these different kind of worlds is interesting, I guess. But for me, the mechanics, it just seem like there's lots going on and there's so much to keep track of in this game. So, for instance, you can be playing a game and the scenario has one kind of global rule that affects everything in the game. But then it all changes as soon as you draw an event card, which adds additional kind of rules to the game. And then every monster that comes out, they have additional rules that add to the game. So, yeah. It's just lots to keep track of. And it was really nice playing Forbidden Fortress with another kind of 3 people, and 3 people who were like heavy gamers, because they were keeping me honest. They were basically pointing out rules mistakes I was making, and it was just lovely, to be fair. Okay, so that is as far as we're going to go today. I painted the yellow on him. Wasn't quite sure about his upper arm here, whether there should be yellow on the inside of that, but I guess so. The picture itself, they're more green than they are yellow, but I think the most of the miniatures for these, they do kind of look yellow. And I was trying to do the same scheme as this Serpent Man Warrior, who I've not quite finished yet. So we did the yellow, we did the mouth, we did the tongue. Thank you for Lauren M for telling me what colour a snake's tongue was. We did the stone, which was very easy to do, and then a bit awkward doing the stone in the middle and then the red on there. I will obviously off camera touch up some of these areas, not in an inappropriate way. I will get his his consent before I do touch him up. He looks happy. And yeah, before I go, hello Nick. I'm going to talk about the Temple Guard. So something I'm going to do on the channel, because it's content's fun, is I'm going to basically focus on these guys and do a little kind of comedy skit maybe with some of the new characters I've got. But Temple Guard, let's have a quick look at him. So initiative 3, so the higher initiative, the quicker you go. So these guys, normally parties are, you're going to have people who are kind of a bit slower, so they will activate after these guys. But, you get some high initiative, you can go before these guys. Ability, Serpentman Tribe. So I believe that means you need to draw a card to say which Serpentman tribe they belong to. Colour scheme-wise, they're all different, but I'm painting them all the same tribe colour, which is the basic one. Okay, so that moves through other models and changes targets each turn. That's pretty cool. Normally, you can basically bottleneck the enemies and pick them off, but these guys can move through, so that's pretty good. Ceremonial Armor, that's tricky. So every time they take an actual wound, they can roll a dice for each wound that's coming through, and 5 or more. Your initiative these days, I manually said initiative 3 there, Nick. These days, I feel like you're more initiative too. In real life. Armor 5+, so every time they take a wound, they can basically roll a dice, and if they get 5 or more, they ignore that wound. Initiative 1, yeah, actually, Nick, that sounds about right. Crush, this enemy's melee to hit rolls of 6+ ignore defense. If this hit already ignores defense, it's a +2 damage as well. What do you mean if this hit already ignores defense? This enemy's melee to hit rolls of 6+ ignore defense. Okay, if this hit already ignores defense, it is +2 damage as well. I imagine there's some kind of thing that can give them a ignore defense. I don't know, that seems weird. Gore-Tech a training. This enemy may reroll all of its melee to hit rolls of 1, even more than once. Yikes. That is pretty tricky. And Gorteca, how would you pronounce it? Is it Italian? Gorteca. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'll do it. Or is it like a tribal swamp? So Gorteca. Maybe. I don't know. They've got movement of 6. Not the fastest enemy, but to be fair, they're going to get to you pretty quick. To move away from them, you need 3 or more. They've got no range attacks. Melee are 4+ though, so they've got a 4, 5, or 6 they're going to hit you. And they're rolling 3 dice every time they attack, and each kind of hit that goes through is going to do 4 damage. Yeah, most people start off with about 12 hit points maybe. So you could get knocked out with these guys with 1 hit with a level 1 character, which is lovely. Defense of 3, health of 15. Defense basically means every time you do damage them, you're going to reduce it by this number, unless you have a critical hit where you can ignore the defense and go straight to the health. 15 health, you get 10 experience points on the initial hit you do to these, and +5 for each hit after that. I believe that's how experience works. It's not like I've been playing this game since 2016. Then we have an elite chart down here. So when you get to level 3 in your party, you're going to be drawing stuff from here. You roll a dice and you see what you get. So they got heavy temple armor, temple guard now armor 4+. So that basically means this is going to be tougher to actually do damage to them. In addition, any time that armor would be ignored, instead is reduced to armor 5+. So you do have some weapons that enable you to ignore armor. So yeah, that's pretty good. So it means they're always going to have armor. Tribal veterans, +1 initiative and melee to hit is now 3, so it'd make them quicker and easier to attack you. Hulking guardians, if they get this elite ability, they got +6 health. Savage snapping, +2 combat, which means they're rolling 5 dice, so they could do a potential of 20 damage if they hit you. Ornate hammers, temple guard combat hits are now +2 damage for every hit, so that'd be 6 damage for each one coming through. Emissaries of the Feathered Serpent. Temple Guard get +1 combat for each corruption or mutation their target has. Wow. Okay, so corruption and mutation are something that, you try to avoid at the best time, but they sound like they do not like people who have been messing with Darkstone. Temple Guard melee to hit rolls to 6+, now also cause 1 corruption hit to the target. So not only are they, better at fighting people with corruption, they're actually going to give it to you. Well, it'd be lovely if that's all I could say about these guys, but what the heck? There's a brutal side. So the brutal side, their initiative is still, it's gone up. So they're actually slower when they're this one. They've still got their slither. They've still got the ceremonial armor. Their crush roll is exactly the same. Their Gore-Teca training, it's the same. So yeah, basically all their abilities are identical. Bit more health. They're going to be rolling 4 dice to begin with. Rather than 3. Melee to hits 3. Damage 5. Heavy temple armor is the same. So that's the same ability as previously. Chosen by the king, that's new. So +1 combat and tough. So immune to critical hits. So you'd always be taking that defense 3 into account for every hit you go through. So tough is really tricky to come across. However, there are a few kind of heroes you can have which actually ignore that. Hulking Guardian, +6 health. Savage Snapping, +2 combat. Ornate Hammers, +2 damage. Emissary of the Feathered Serpent, the same. So I think Heavy Temple Armor, I think Chosen by the King's the only thing that is, different. And that's it. That's the Temple Guards. It's not quite finished yet. I still need to put on the wood. I still need to get some leather on him. And some feathers. And also just tidy up around his mouth. But that's essentially it, guys. Thanks for joining me here today for another painting session. I may or may not be here for a live Wednesday Waffle next week. I'm going to say not. So I'm going to try to film a Wednesday Waffle unlive or undead. And it'll be up on the Wednesday, hopefully, unless obviously I've had some really big news in my family, which means I won't be able to do that. But hopefully there'll be one next Wednesday. I will save the painting the temple guard until another live because I enjoy doing these little chats with you guys. And yeah, I might maybe in my spare time paint the rest of these guys up to match that. It's also worth noting I've got the Prospector now, which is a pretty cool character for Shadows of Brimstone. And I will be trying to do some more focuses on the different characters and the different areas you can play this game in. And I also need to find some more Gene Stealer Purple that isn't dried out. Anyone got any tips for making that undried? Let me know in the comments below. I've been the ever excitable Adam. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone who joined me today. I really appreciate all your time and energy. It's lovely to have you here. Until next time, guys, stay safe. Or if you can't stay safe, die rolling.